Now we're starting the new topic of geometry, and geometry is the study of shapes and angles, etc. So we're going to start with a quick bit of revision of angles, and let's just remind ourselves of the different types of angles that we can have. There is, of course, an angle that's less than 90 degrees, which we call an acute angle. The word acute means sharp. So acute angles are kind of pointy like this. Then we could have an angle that makes 90 degrees, which we call a right angle. And get a bit bigger than that. If we go bigger than 90 degrees, we have an obtuse angle. And obtuse actually means blunt. So you can see this one is sharp and this one is blunt. An acute angle is between 0 degrees and 90 degrees, but never exactly equal to 90 degrees. A right angle is only exactly equal to 90 degrees, and an obtuse angle is between 90 degrees and 180. So it must be bigger than 90, but not equal to 180. The next one we get to then is exactly 180 degrees, and we call it a straight angle because it's the angle that we get on a straight line. Now, what happens if we go bigger than that? The outside here is called a reflex angle. And the way I remember this is it looks a little bit like a knee, and you test your reflexes on your knees. And then finally, this one is a little bit hard to draw. It looks like a straight angle until you fill in the angle marker. If we come around like this, the name for this is a full angle. Okay, so a straight angle is exactly equal to 180 degrees. A reflex angle is between 180 and 360, and a full angle is exactly equal to 360 degrees, called a full angle because, of course, it makes a full circle. Now, there are certain properties of angles which you should have learned for junior cert but may have forgotten. So let's remind ourselves of those properties and definitions. If we have properties and names, actually, if we have 90 degrees like this, and we split it into two angles, and let's call them A and B, then we have a special name for those two angles. We say that they are complementary angles. So the angle A and the angle B, so remember our little angle symbol, it looks a bit like a less than symbol, but it's a bit flatter on the bottom. The angle A and the angle B are complementary angles. And you do need to know that definition. They're complementary angles because they add to 90 degrees. If I have a straight angle and I divide it into two, C and D, like this, we'll say that the angle C and and the angle D are supplementary angles. Because they add to 180 degrees. You need to know the definitions of those, and you need to know the difference between them as well. And they sound really similar, so it's difficult. The way I remember it is that C comes before S in the alphabet, and 90 comes before 180. I can't think of a better way of remembering it, but you do need to know the difference there. Okay, we have some other facts about angles. If I have two lines crossing like this, just move this down. If I have two lines crossing like this, it forms two pairs of equal angles. And the angles that are across from each other are equal. So the name for this is vertically opposite angles. Vertically opposite angles are equal in measure. So if this was 35 degrees, this would be 35 degrees, and so on and so forth. And the angles in a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So supplementary angles add up to 180, and the angles in a right angle add up to 90. So those are the first three properties that we have. Now, if I have two parallel lines, I start to get more properties of angles. So if I have two parallel lines like this, and a line going through them, so remember our symbol for parallel lines, there's a shape. We can look for a Z shape, okay? You see my backward Z here? This is the shape we're looking at. And the angles in here have a special name. They're called alternate angles. And alternate angles are also equal. So we're looking for a Z shape. Now you'll notice this is actually a backward Z, so Z and a backward Z will both give me alternate angles. So I have a Z shape. If we can see it, it's a bit stretched out. I have a Z shape here. So those guys there are also alternate angles, bit of a stretched out Z shape. So you're looking for the things in the bend of a Z shape between parallel lines when you want alternate angles. There's another letter that we look for. Oh yeah, I often think of vertically opposite as being an X shape. There's no parallel lines though. There's another shape that we have in parallel lines. So if I have two parallel lines and I have a line going through them, I'm now looking for an F shape, okay? So if I can find an F shape or a backwards F shape, like this, then I get what's called corresponding angles. So my F shape, like this, they're called corresponding angles. and corresponding angles are equal as well. And as I said, I've got F, and I also have upside down F here, because those are vertically opposite. And I also have backwards F, as I think about it. So F and backwards F here, if you can see that. So these guys are also corresponding. And of course, we have the upside down F on this side, and these are vertically opposite. So that's, you can spot those are vertically opposite. So vertically opposite, alternate, and corresponding angles are equal to each other. With vertically opposite, we don't have parallel lines. With alternate angles, we do have parallel lines. Do you need to know the names, the correct names, or do you just need to know that they're equal? The majority of the questions, you just need to know that they're equal, but sometimes you can be asked for the definition, not the definition, but to identify the corresponding angles. And they'll give you the word, and they're not asking you which angles are equal. They want you to show a pair of corresponding angles. So that would be important. The last thing for this class, and then we'll do the second class in a separate video, is just to remind us of these words. So parallel lines are lines where the distance between them is the same all the time. They never meet. And perpendicular lines are considered to be the opposite of parallel. Perpendicular lines, badly drawn, make 90-degree angles. Make a 90-degree angle. Okay, that's great. We'll stop there, and I'll make a separate video for the second class.